Any specific reason that you call out Alex Pereira? Obviously, UFC contract. It'd be tough to get him out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I want everybody. I love this sport. And, you know, he's tweeted about wanting to go into boxing. We got him on the FaceTime right there in the ring. And I said, yo, can you get out of your contract? If he can get out of his contract, then let's run it. And so when I asked him that, he had a pause. He like looked at his manager. You know, these guys aren't their own bosses. So I want all the smoke. But at the end of the day, will Dana let him out? That's too big of a risk if I could embarrass his #1 praised fighter right now. But I want all the smoke. I want all the MMA guys, and I've beaten all of them. Who's next? He's the king right now of the UFC, so I want him. I'm going to decapitate him and dethrone him.
August, I'm back, baby.
Alex Pereira, the two-division UFC champion, has just made a shocking announcement about switching to boxing. And Jake Paul wasted no time dropping an absolutely massive bombshell that has the entire world talking. Jake Paul dropped a bombshell announcement that has everyone talking. He sat down with ESPN and revealed something huge. Listen to this. Jake Paul said his team is down. I think the only thing preventing it is the UFC, and if these guys can get out of their contracts to fight me, it would be a massive fight at some point, and I know he's down to make it happen. Pereira already has one professional boxing match under his belt from way back in 2017, and he won that by knockout. So this isn't completely out of left field. The man has elite striking credentials, devastating knockout power, and now he's ready to focus on the sweet science. But there's one fighter who saw this news and immediately jumped on it. And that fighter, none other than Jake, the problem child Paul. The moment Alex Pereira announced his boxing intentions, Jake Paul came out swinging. And I'm not talking about in the ring. According to Jake Paul, he's already been in preliminary talks with Alex Pereira's team about making this fight happen. This isn't just random trash talk or social media noise. Jake is saying they've had actual conversations about this. 1000% I would beat him. Roundtree actually kind of exposed that he doesn't have a high-volume output. He doesn't like body shots. In MMA, Pereira would rip my head off. But boxing is a completely different sport, and the pace of it and the style of it, he has holes. Jake Paul is literally saying he studied Alex Pereira's fights, found weaknesses, and is confident he would win. He's giving Pereira respect in MMA, saying Pereira would destroy him there. But in pure boxing, Jake thinks he's got the advantage.
And Alex Pereira, you said you want to box. I'm the king of this. I'm the king of this. Come over. We can make it happen. I want you, Alex Pereira.
And here's the kicker. Jake Paul's calling this the most dangerous fight for me right now. He's acknowledging that Pereira is bigger than him, more experienced in striking, and has legitimate one-punch knockout power. But Jake's still saying his team is down, meaning Pereira wants this fight. Now, before we all get too excited, there's a massive obstacle standing in the way of this fight happening: the UFC and Dana White.
Pereira, you said you want to box. I'm the king of this. Come over. We can make it happen.
I actually want someone where there can literally be no excuses after.
They'll make excuses. With him, what could they say, though?
Pereira, I want you, big puppy.
That's crazy.
Wow. Here's the reality check. Alex Pereira is currently under contract with the UFC. He signed a new 8-fight deal just over a year ago, and he's already 4 fights into that contract. That means he's got 4 more fights left with the UFC. And Dana White, he's not about to let one of his biggest stars walk away to fight Jake Paul. Jake Paul's representative, Nakisa Badarian, actually threw some serious shade at Dana White. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that if Dana truly believed one of his fighters could beat Jake Paul, he'd endorse the fight immediately, because nothing would make Dana happier than seeing Jake lose.
Find out what Alex Pereira's all about. I'm sure you saw the call out, and when I saw it, I was
listen, let me tell you something about the Jake Paul thing. So the media just eats all his and they actually print it. It's the weirdest thing ever. Never once, not only did I not tell Perry if he wanted, he'd get in the UFC. I haven't even talked to Perry in a long time. And I didn't even know Jake Paul was fighting. I was on vacation in Italy. I had no idea. There's all these stories that were written. It's ridiculous. I stopped paying attention to Jake Paul when he lost to Fury. You know what I mean? It's like when he fought somebody that was his age and actually boxed, he lost.
But the truth is, the UFC doesn't need Jake Paul. Pereira is a massive draw for them right now. He's selling out arenas, getting millions of views, and making the UFC serious money. Why would they risk all of that by letting him fight Jake Paul in a boxing match where the UFC doesn't control the narrative or the revenue? Some experts are saying the chances of this fight happening while Pereira is under UFC contract are basically zero. But Jake Paul is adamant. He says the only thing preventing this fight is the UFC, not Pereira, not his team, just the contract situation. So naturally, after Jake Paul dropped this bombshell, everyone turned to Alex Pereira to see his response. And Pereira, he didn't stay quiet for long.
I want Alex Pereira. He said he wants to box. I'm down. He's the king of the UFC right now, 4-time kickboxing champion. So he knows a lot about boxing. I believe it would be my greatest challenge yet. I want a real MMA challenge. And everybody thinks that he would kill me. And I love proving people wrong, showing that I could do way more than people think I can. And so Alex Pereira, we got on FaceTime. I asked him if he could get out of his UFC contract. And if he can, let's run it.
Alex Pereira took to Twitter and sent a message that has fight fans losing their minds. While he didn't directly confirm or deny Jake Paul's claims, sources close to Pereira's camp are saying that Poatan is genuinely interested in testing himself in professional boxing. The question isn't if Pereira wants to box. We know he does. The question is, who does he want to fight, and when can it happen? Here's what makes this so interesting. Alex Pereira has nothing to prove in MMA. He's already a 2-division champion. He's knocked out legends. He's at the top of the mountain. But boxing, that's a new challenge, a new mountain to climb. And if there's one thing we know about Alex Pereira, it's that he loves a challenge. Plus, let's be real. A fight against Jake Paul would be absolutely massive financially. We're talking potentially the biggest payday of Pereira's career. Netflix money, pay-per-view points, sponsorships. We could be looking at tens of millions of dollars for this fight.
And the show continues. Jake Paul calls out Alex Poatan Pereira. I still don't have respect. He knows damn well that fight will never materialize. So, of course, he's going to call him out.
So while Pereira hasn't officially confirmed Jake Paul's claims, the interest is definitely there on both sides. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. If this fight actually happens, who wins? On paper, Alex Pereira should absolutely dominate Jake Paul. Let's look at the credentials. Alex Pereira, former Glory kickboxing champion, 2-division UFC champion professional boxing record, 1-0 with 1 knockout. Knocked out some of the best strikers in the world, devastating left hook and insane knockout power. Jake Paul, professional boxing record, 12-1, has beaten multiple former MMA champions in boxing, been training exclusively in boxing for years, showed legitimate boxing skills against real competition. Here's the thing though, and this is what makes this fight so intriguing. Jake Paul has a point about boxing being different from kickboxing and MMA.
Can Chavez do this? Here we go. DW at Walmart. Okay, let's see. Oh! Oh!
We've seen it time and time again. Elite strikers from MMA come into boxing and struggle with the pace, the rhythm, the pure boxing technique. Jake Paul beat Tyron Woodley, Anderson Silva, and Nate Diaz, all guys who had good hands in MMA. But Pereira is different. His striking is on another level. He's not just an MMA fighter with good hands. He's a world champion kickboxer with professional boxing experience.
Hello? Levanta la guardia. 1 minuto, se va a prender ahora.
Essa é a melhor aposta?
Não, queria super luta.
No, I want a super fight.
Oh, super fight at heavyweight.
I can think of one.
Wow,
name.
Derek
I would,
Lewis? It's Aspinall, man.
Bom, não sei se, pô, Casa Branca, John Jones.
John
seria uma
Jones.
super luta.
Oh, at the White House, John Jones. That's
okay.
a super fight.
All right, so he's
John Jones just sent a massive bombshell message to Alex Pereira. I'll see you at 205 pounds. After Pereira's devastating knockout at UFC 320 and his call out for a White House super fight, John Bones Jones has responded with an offer that's shaking the entire MMA world. And I'm telling you right now, this changes everything.
I don't want to fight dangerous up-and-comers anymore. I want to fight dangerous, established champions. So Tom can have the heavyweight championship. I don't really care about it. That my value doesn't lie in belts anymore. I created something much bigger. I want Pereira.
But there's a veteran UFC fighter who's warning Pereira that this might be the worst decision of his career. Let's break it all down. John Jones has sent a massive message to Alex Pereira, and it's not what anyone expected. According to former UFC fighter and insider Chael Sonnen, Jones is ready to make this super fight happen, but on his terms.
Let me give you the hot take of the day. If I'm in John Jones's shoes and I hear this and I feel this buzz and there's this huge fight and it has all of a sudden got my interest, but there's no title on the line, I can fix that real fast. I can say, I will fight you, and I'll even find a world title because it's going to be yours. I'll see you at 205 pounds. And if John Jones does that, my partner, we're having a very different conversation.
Here's the bombshell. John Jones is willing to come back down to 205 pounds to fight Alex Pereira for the light heavyweight championship. Let me read you exactly what Sonnen revealed. If I'm in John Jones's shoes and I hear this buzz, there's this huge fight and it has all of a sudden got my interest, but there's no title on the line, I can fix that real fast. I can say, I can fight you and I'll even find a world title because it's gonna be yours. I'll see you at 205 pounds.
Let me give you the hot take of the day. If I'm in John Jones's shoes and I hear this and I feel this buzz and there's this huge fight and it has all of a sudden got my interest, but there's no title on the line, I can fix that real fast. I can say, I will fight you and I'll even find a world title because it's going to be yours. I'll see you at 205 pounds. And if John Jones does that, my partner, we're having a very different conversation.
Oh, chill. Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
Think about what this means. Instead of Pereira moving up to heavyweight where he'd be at a massive disadvantage, Jones is saying he'll come back down to light heavyweight, the division he absolutely dominated for years, and fight Pereira for his title.
Donald Trump mentioned that he wanted to have a fight at the White House Garden. That just seems like such a huge opportunity. I'm a very proud American. I have a lot of close friends that are in the military. To be able to entertain the country and the world at this level at the White House, it just means the world to me. So I'm back.
This is genius on multiple levels. Jones gets a title fight. He potentially becomes a 3-time light heavyweight champion, and he gives Dana White no choice but to put him on that White House card because it's for a world championship. Now, let me take you back to Saturday night and show you why we're even having this conversation.
And John Jones says he wants to be on there too, and he says he would fight whoever the champion is at that time. But would you be okay with him like coming back and potentially winning that belt again? And you might have to go through.
Well, it's not even about him winning the belt. I mean, you know how I felt about him. I can't risk putting him in big positions in a big spot and have something go wrong.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Especially the White House card.
At UFC 320, Alex Poatan Pereira put on an absolute masterclass. In a highly anticipated rematch against Magomed Ankalaev, the man who had taken his title, Pereira reclaimed the UFC light heavyweight championship in absolutely devastating fashion. How fast did it happen? 1 minute and 20 seconds. That's all it took for Pereira to knock out Ankalaev and become a 2-time light heavyweight champion. 1 minute, 20 seconds.
I am the one, the way your son don't need a gun to get respect up on the street. Under the sun, the bastard son will pop the clock to feed himself and family. My enemies, your enemies, my enemies, we wet them up like a canteen. The yellow tape surrounds the face, don't have a face, so now you late. Open the gates, great, eliminate like a lemonade. Hey, young boy had to penetrate. Face, young boy done caught a case. Bang, now we're mama living with the pain. Wait, doctor says he's gonna stay.
The power that Alex Pereira possesses is something we rarely see in combat sports. Former UFC middleweight champion Sean Strickland, who actually trains with Pereira, put it perfectly. The guy has the death punch, dude. There's some guy that has that death punch, and that's Alex.
Man, the guy has a death punch, dude. Like, fucking A, dude. Like, Uncle Ive, dude, he's came and trained us, so he's so fucking good, dude. But, like, Alex just has that thing that, like, comes once in a lifetime. Like, Chuck Liddell had it. There's some guys that just have that death punch. That's Alex.
Strickland even compared Pereira to Chuck Liddell, saying it's that once-in-a-lifetime knockout power that can end any fight at any moment. After his victory, Pereira showed pure class by calling for a moment of silence for Jon Jones's brother, Arthur, who tragically passed away on October 3rd. But Pereira also revealed what his original plan had been, to call out Jon Jones for a fight at the White House.
Respeito a família. I had a whole speech prepared tonight. I talked to my team over it, but we got some news recently. Some things happened, so I want to give my respect to Jon Jones and his whole family, and I want to ask everyone here and everyone at home to take a moment of silence for his brother.
At the UFC 320 post-fight press conference, with his newly reclaimed title around his waist, Alex Pereira made his intentions absolutely clear. Thanks for congratulating me, but all I want is a super fight. I want to fight at heavyweight.
Middleweight champion Hamzat Chimaev has called you out and said that congratulations, but now you guys need to finish your business. Are you aware of what business that is, and are you interested in him moving up to fight you at this stage?
Thanks for congratulating me, but all I want is a super fight. I want to fight at heavyweight, but all I can say is thank you.
Só agradeço só pelos parabéns.
And then he got specific. I was going to ask for Jon Jones at the White House, but with everything that happened, it's not the right time to talk about it. I want a super fight. It would be at the White House against Jon Jones. That's a super fight.
Please, with all the respect, I was going to ask for Jon Jones in the White House, but with everything that happened, it's not the right time to talk about it.
Call it of him.
I'll answer his question, and I'll answer this subject one time. And, you know, I with all due respect, with all the respect I have for the situation, and I've said this in the back, you know, a lot of people try to create a lot of stuff around this. So, again, please, with all the respect, I was going to ask for Jon Jones in the White House, but with everything that happened, it's not the right time to talk about it.
This is huge, folks. Pereira is already a two-division UFC champion. If he were to move up to heavyweight and defeat Jon Jones, he would become the first three-division champion in UFC history. That's legendary status right there. Pereira even addressed concerns about holding up the light heavyweight division, saying, "I don't think that's needed. Everyone knows how often I fight, so that's not going to be an issue." And he's right. The man fights multiple times a year and has never turned down a challenge. He's been an absolute warrior for the UFC. But before everyone gets too excited about this potential super fight, a retired UFC veteran just issued a serious warning to Alex Pereira. Matt Brown, a former UFC welterweight who fought the absolute best in the world, thinks Pereira might be walking into a disaster, and he didn't hold back with his assessment. Brown called this matchup literally the nightmare matchup for Alex Pereira.
The matchup is literally the nightmare matchup for Alex Pereira.
Let me read you his exact words. Jon is as big, probably a little bit bigger than Alex Pereira. At heavyweight, certainly bigger. 1,000,000 times better wrestler. There's no way in hell that Alex has wrestling at Jon Jones's level at this point, even if Jon Jones is out doing cocaine for the last year and then just shows up and fights.
Like, Jon is as big, probably bigger. I think probably a little bit bigger than Alex Pereira. A heavyweight, certainly bigger. You know, a 1,000,000 times better wrestler. Like, there's no possible way in hell that Alex, you know, his wrestling is to Jon Jones's level at this point. Even if Jon Jones is out doing cocaine for the last year and then just shows up and fights.
Brown is saying that even if Jones spent a year partying and just showed up, his wrestling would still be levels above what Pereira can handle. Matt Brown raises an important question. Is this about sport or entertainment? He admits that entertainment-wise, this fight would be massive. The buildup would be insane. The betting would be crazy. People would be hyped beyond belief. But competitively, Brown sees this as a complete mismatch in Jones's favor, especially in the wrestling department.
You know, which I think we talked about a little bit about the White House card period. You know, is this going to be make the biggest fights you can, or, you know, make relevant fights? And if you're making the biggest fight you can, you go with Alex Pereira, Jon Jones, 100%. especially if you're Dana and you trust that John Jones is going to make it there on time.
So now that John Jones has reportedly sent this bombshell message, I'll see you at 205 pounds. Let's talk about why this changes the entire dynamic of this potential fight. First, the weight class matters hugely. At heavyweight, Jones would have a significant size advantage. But at 205 pounds, that's Pereira's division. That's where he just knocked out Ankalaev in 80 seconds. That's where he's comfortable and dominant. MMA legend Demetrius Johnson has said the White House card doesn't need big names like Jones who pick and choose their fights. He wants active fighters to get priority.
Like, let's say John Jones comes back, he fights Johnson Almeida. He was like, you know what? I want to be on the White House card. What do I got to do? They're like, okay, you fight the winner of Volkov versus Johnson Almeida. Bet. And then he beats Johnson Almeida. And then it's okay, perfect. You're going to fight the winner of XYZ on the White House. Perfect. I'm all for it. But I just don't like when somebody's iced, sitting there chilling. They get to pick and choose what they do. Maybe they earn that right. I have no idea. Right? And all the accomplishment John Jones has done, it's amazing. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that if we got guys who are on the roster and find their asses off, they should have the first dibs to get on the White House. Even for Conor, we don't need his ass on the White House, right? But I know him and Donald Trump, they got some good things going. But I just don't want to see other athletes miss out on an opportunity that are fighting right now. But
and especially the White House card is going to be the ultimate casual attraction, put on the pinnacle of the sport. That's what we need to represent.
And see what we're done. Like, who you think who will win is the winner, something that interests me.
Cara, ali
it's a tough fight. You know, Tom is a complete fighter, but I do feel like he's fought a lot of aggressive guys, and I think Gane is a guy who's going to do a lot of movement. He's going to be a little more cautious and you know, just moving around a lot. It might frustrate Tom. You know, so first, second, third round, maybe Tom can't find Cyril Gane, so I think it's going to be a different fight. We'll see. Really don't know. We'll have to see. You know, obviously my body gets heavier. I don't know how long I can cut to 205. So we're just going to have to see and take it fight by fight.
Alex Poatan Pereira just dropped a massive bombshell that's sending shockwaves through the heavyweight division. The light heavyweight king has a stark warning for Tom Aspinall ahead of UFC 321. Alex Pereira's shocking prediction for the UFC 321 heavyweight title fight between Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane. Poatan didn't hold back, and what he said might just change how you see this matchup. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Alex Pereira, fresh off preparing for his own UFC 320 rematch with Magomed Ankalaev, took time during a media scrum to deliver a prediction that nobody saw coming. But Pereira, he sees something completely different. Through his translator, Poatan laid it out clearly. This is going to be a tough night for Tom Aspinall. Here's exactly what he said. It's a tough fight. Tom is a complete fighter, but I do feel like he's fought a lot of aggressive guys, and I think Gane is a guy who's going to do a lot of moving. He's going to be a little more cautious, and that moving around a lot might frustrate Tom.
It's a tough fight, you know. Tom is a complete fighter, but I do feel like he's fought a lot of aggressive guys, and I think Gane is a guy who's going to do a lot of movement. He's going to be a little more cautious and you know, just moving around a lot. It might frustrate Tom.
But wait, it gets even more interesting. Pereira continued. First, second, third round. Maybe Tom can't find Cyril Gane. I think it's going to be a different fight.
You know, so first, second, third round, maybe Tom can't find Cyril Gane, so I think it's going to be a different fight. We'll see.
One of the most devastating strikers in UFC history is telling us that Tom Aspinall might spend 3 rounds chasing Gane around the octagon without being able to land that signature knockout blow. That's a huge statement, and if that wasn't enough, Alex Pereira took to Twitter to double down on his prediction, sending a direct message to the MMA world. But here's where it gets really interesting. Tom Aspinall himself seems to agree that this won't be a typical fight.
Yeah.
In an exclusive interview with Bloody Elbow, Tom Aspinall revealed something that backs up Pereira's prediction. He believes Cyril Gane has been working on the holes in his ground game, and he wouldn't be surprised if Gane tries to take him down. Aspinall said, "I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to take me down. It's MMA, so I'm preparing for everything. We've seen that Cyril has holes in his ground game, but he's improved.
And I think that Cyril is no exception, but obviously there are some weaknesses in his ground game that we've seen, but I'm sure he's improved. You know what I mean? This is an MMA fight, it can go anywhere, so I'm sure we'll both be ready for anything."
Now that's a plot twist. Everyone remembers Gane being out-wrestled by Francis Ngannou and submitted by John Jones in his previous title shots. His ground game has been his Achilles heel, but if Aspinall is preparing for grappling exchanges, that tells us Gane's camp has been cooking up something special. Aspinall continued, "I wouldn't be surprised if we get in a lot of grappling exchanges this time, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have a straight-up stand-up fight either. You've got to be ready for anything in MMA, and I'm preparing for everything." This is the mark of a true champion, respecting your opponent's evolution. Aspinall isn't overlooking Gane. He knows this is his toughest test yet, and he's preparing for every scenario. The question is, will preparation be enough against Gane's elite movement? Tom Aspinall walked into a hostile environment in the French capital, and let me tell you, the Parisian crowd showed up for their hometown hero, Cyril Gane. Aspinall tried to kick things off with a simple statement. I mean, there was nobody else to fight, and that's when the boos came raining down. The crowd drowned him out completely.
I mean, there was nobody else to fight.
When they finally let him speak, Aspinall delivered a classic line. If I hit anybody, I can knock anybody out. Cyril is no exception. Then he added, it's rare to see two heavyweights our size move like we do. This is the new age of heavyweights.
No, I think if I hit anybody, I can knock anybody out. It's pretty rare that you see any guys of our size that move like we do. So I think this is really like the new age of the heavyweights.
And Gane? Cool as ice. He simply said, he's never fought someone like me. I bring something different.
Never fought someone like me though. I bring something very different. I've got my own.
Both fighters are 6'5". Both are mobile. Both are dangerous. But only one can leave Abu Dhabi as champion. So we've heard from Pereira. We've heard from the fighters themselves, but what about the people who train with Aspinall every single day? Martin Boudet, a frequent training partner of Aspinall and part of that heavyweight megacamp that includes longtime KSW champion Phil DeFries, had this to say, I love Tom Aspinall and like his team, his father, like everyone in that team. I think he will secure like spectacular win and finish in that and like defend the title.
Like I love Tom Aspinall and like his team, his father, like everyone in that team. So I'm really looking up to that fight, and I will be cheering for Tom. I think he will secure like a spectacular win and finish in that and like defend the title.
Now Boudet is obviously biased. These are his training partners, his friends. But what's interesting is that even someone in Aspinall's inner circle is predicting a spectacular finish, not necessarily a quick one. Could this be a war that ends dramatically in the later rounds? And here's a fun fact. If Aspinall wins at UFC 321 and Boudet captures the Octagon MMA heavyweight belt in his upcoming fight with Will Fleury, Team Aspinall would hold major heavyweight belts across multiple organizations worldwide. Talk about dominance.
Last minute. Last minute.
So, let's break this down. What do we really have here? On one side, you have Tom Aspinall, a 15-3 fighter who's been an absolute wrecking ball, finishing opponents faster than they can blink. He's got power, he's got submission skills, and he's got the heavyweight gold around his waist.
Low kick as well.
On the other side, you have Cyril Gane, a 13-2 fighter with some of the best footwork and striking in the heavyweight division. Yes, he's lost 2 title fights, but both were against all-time greats in Ngannou and Jones. And now, he's had time to shore up his weaknesses. Here's what makes this fight so intriguing. Aspinall has been knocking out aggressive, come-forward fighters. But Gane is the opposite. He's elusive, patient, and tactical. Can Aspinall adjust his game to catch a fighter who doesn't want to engage in a firefight? But what do you think? Is Pereira right? Will Gane's movement frustrate Aspinall and take this fight into the championship rounds? Or will Aspinall prove everyone wrong and score another first-round knockout? Drop your predictions in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest MMA news and analysis.
Você, Poatan, você está certo. Eu não vou ter nenhuma palavra a dizer, porque você vai acabar dormindo depois que ter que trabalhar na borracharia de novo.
É, pode ser, né? Tá vendo? O cara fala besteira. Eu nem tinha visto isso aí, velho. De verdade.
Eu tô ligado.
Pô, juro pelos meus filhos, velho. Não tinha visto. Aí eu fiquei pensando, né, velho? O cara chegar ao ponto de se esconder dentro do PI com medo. Eu achei, não, de verdade. Eu achei que, tipo, o UFC ali, pô. E olha só, quando a gente chegou um segurança depois. E aí eu falei, pô, nunca teve isso, velho. Tipo, pô, eu nunca demonstrei que eu queria tretar. Eu nunca fiz isso, entendeu? Aí eu fiquei ali na minha. Mas agora eu consigo entender que o cara fala bosta e depois ele... Porque, tipo assim, eu no lugar dele eu falar uma parada, mano, eu vou segurar a parada e vou ficar ali, entendeu? Não vou sair pro cara ficar à vontade aqui não, entendeu? E, pô, de verdade, eu segurava o BO, entendeu? Mas o ponto de o cara se esconder numa sala, velho, porque... Uma coisa até engraçada que aconteceu ali agora, na saída do PI, né? Eu vi ali o treinador do Ankalaev, eu fiquei ali na minha, mas não vi o Ankalaev. O engraçado foi na hora que eu saí do PI, aí quando eu cheguei no carro, né? Um cara do meu time, né? Tava lá dentro ainda, né? E viu, tipo, a menina do PI falando pro Ankalaev, pode vir, ele já foi embora já. Tipo, porra, escondendo o cara, se escondendo o cara na salinha ali, velho. O cara acha que eu vou encontrar ele e vou sair brigando com o cara, velho. Pô, não sou idiota, né, velho?
Mas será que não foi o que ele falou na internet?
Eu não sei o que ele falou, não.
Você, Poatan, você está certo. Eu não vou ter nenhuma palavra a dizer, porque você vai acabar dormindo depois que ter que trabalhar na borracharia de novo.
É, pode ser, né? Tá vendo? O cara fala besteira. Eu nem tinha visto isso aí, velho. De verdade.
Eu tô ligado.
E, pô, de verdade, eu segurava o BO, entendeu? Mas o ponto de o cara se esconder numa sala, velho, porque eu tô no mesmo ambiente, velho. Ah, pô, o cara é um frouxo, velho. Esse é um frouxo, pô. Eu vou ficar na minha ali, entendeu? Eu nunca vou, tipo, arrumar uma confusão com o cara, nunca vou chegar. Lógico, a não ser que o cara venha pra cima, tá ligado? Tá, eu tenho que me defender também, né? Mas aí, tipo, pô, que campeão é esse, velho? Que campeão de merda, velho. Aí, achei a única besteira que eu falei, velho. Mas é um campeão de merda, velho, um cara desse. Mas sabe por quê? Não pelo que ele fala. Mas hoje tem que se esconder numa sala, né? Velho. Demonstrou que é um cagão, velho. Vamos ver. Vamos ver. Porra, se escondendo agora, mas porra, a gente vai dar na jaula lá, velho, trancado lá, velho. Não vai ter. A não ser que ele vai pular a grade, velho. Ah, um campeão de merda, um cara desse, velho. Oh. Chama!
Sit down, sit down. Go.
Tonight, we dive deep into the brewing storm between former two-division champion Alex Poatan Pereira and current light heavyweight king Magomed Ankalaev. What started as professional rivalry has erupted into personal warfare just days before their highly anticipated UFC 320 rematch on October 4th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Our top story tonight centers around a shocking encounter at the UFC Performance Institute that has sent shockwaves through the MMA community.